Alright, finally here.
Thank you, Fantastic, but the 2023 Super Mario Brothers movie is in another castle.
Wait, what? I came all this way here to do an adaptational accuracy ranking on it. What the hell's in this castle then? What? Oh, no, God, no. There are few adaptations as infamous as the 1993 Super Mario Brothers movie. Some people will tell you that it's a horrible movie that you'd be wasting your time watching, while some people will tell you it's an imaginative and misunderstood cult classic. But virtually no one will tell you that it's a good adaptation. In fact, many will tell you that it's one of the worst adaptations of all time. But does it really deserve that title? Yes, it does. End of video. But for those of you who are interested in going for the high score on how this movie compares to the games, I've used the 3C's entertainment system to rate every character adapted from the Mario games into the movie by how similar or different they are to the source material of the time the movie was released, and then rank them from the game over worst to the best. And for those of you on your first playthrough who don't know how to do the Mario, what are those super 3Cs? Costume, character, and continuity. Costume rates a character's outfit, their overall look, and their superficial physical characteristics. Character rates their personality, their relationships, and their powers or abilities. And continuity rates their origin, their iconic moments, and their overall place in the world. Or worlds, in this case. So let's go and start our ranking at the bottom with the highly competitive title of Worst Adapted Character in the 1993 Super Mario Bros. Movie with Tweeters. Tweeters are an enemy that first appeared in Super Mario Bros. 2 as hopping masked birds. In the movie, they don't hop, they're not masked, they're not birds, and they're not alive. We see a fried tweeter street vendor in the alternate dimension of Dinohattan, with tweeters apparently being small lizards that are cooked up and served on a hot dog bun. So they built this entire cart, created this entire food prop, and then wrote and filmed an entire sequence specifically to showcase this tweeter Easter egg, all just to make them small lizards instead of birds. If there's not a better metaphor for this entire movie, I don't know what it would be. Next up, as the second worst adapted and 14th best adapted character, we move up to Big Bertha. Cheep Cheeps are a recurring fish enemy in the Mario franchise. Big Bertha is a larger variant from Super Mario Bros. 3 that carries baby Cheeps in her mouth that she will occasionally let out. And if the Mario Brothers get too close to her, she'll swallow them whole. And in this movie, she's basically all that as well. I mean, if, of course, you replace the word fish with human descended from the dinosaurs living in the alternate dimension of Dinohattan who works as a bouncer for the Koopa Club. She sees the Mario Brothers getting robbed by an old lady, tosses the lady off a bridge, steals the meteor fragment necklace the old lady had stolen, and then uses her thwomp stomper shoes to power jump away. You know, when you go through it like that, this movie kind of feels like you're just doing frickin' Mad Libs. Later, the Mario Brothers seek her out to retrieve the necklace from her for plot reasons, and after using his charms on her, Big Bertha falls for Mario, and teaches him how to use the thwomp stompers himself so that he can escape Koopa's men, giving him a big kiss before he flees. Pretty much the only thing that makes her anything like the game version is her red outfit and, round shape. And I have no idea if this is actually a reference or just some bizarre coincidence, but in a Mario story in an issue of the comic series Nintendo Comic System, a Big Bertha gives Mario a kiss one time while thinking he's a frog. So I guess in some ways she's actually a better adaptation than most of these characters. Alright, enough frog, human, fish, dinosaur debauchery. Next up at 13 we've got Spike. Spikes are an enemy that first appeared in Super Mario Bros. 3. They're green creatures with shells that have mohawks and toss spiked balls at Mario. Take up all of that, toss out any green whatsoever, get rid of the spiked balls, make him one guy instead of an enemy type, and have the only similarities be kind of having similar hair and him working against Mario, and you've got the movie's version of this character. Spike is the cousin of President Koopa and is partners with his cousin Iggy. They are sent by Koopa to Earth to kidnap the escaped princess, but because they are so stupid, they keep grabbing the wrong girl. Koopa puts them into his Devo chamber to evolve their intelligence up so that they'll stop messing up, and it causes them to somehow know larger words and mathematical equations, but otherwise they remain exactly as stupid. Later, due to their increased intelligence, Spike and his cousin start spouting out words like proletariat and fascism and turn against Koopa, siding with the Mario Brothers. And after the credits, they take the credit for the Mario Brothers adventure, pitching a group of Japanese businessmen a game based on their adventures called the Super Koopa Brothers. Now, why did they call this guy Spike when his partner is named after one of the Koopalings, and there were 6 other members that they could have named him after instead of just some random enemy type he has nothing to do with? One of the great mysteries of this film. Alright, now up to 12 with Goombas. Goombas are surly-looking mushroom-shaped creatures that are usually portrayed as serving Bowser. They primarily walk back and forth as an obstacle to Mario throughout various worlds, with him slaughtering his way through countless of them with a well-placed hop on their heads. And in this movie, the Goombas are actually an enemy type instead of just a single character. However, they still share virtually nothing in common. In the games, Goombas are residents of Dinohattan who've been arrested by President Koopa's police force and then been forcibly devolved back to their reptilian roots in Koopa's Devo chamber. Instead of being small mushroom creatures, they are tall, hulking humanoids with small dinosaur heads. There are a couple variants of Goomba in the movie. Some look kinda similar to the shape of the game Goombas, but others are more clearly reptilian. I assume referencing the game's other most iconic enemies, Koopa Troopas, but in the movies, they're still called Goombas. Instead of walking back and forth, they use flamethrowers and other guns, and throughout the movie, not a single one gets jumped on. Up to 11 we have Iggy. In the movie, Iggy is Spike's cousin and partner, as well as being the cousin and henchman to President Koopa. In the games, Iggy is one of the Koopalings, who at the time of the movie were referred to as Bowser's children. In Super Mario Bros. 3, Iggy and the others assist Bowser in taking over the lands of the Mushroom Kingdom, with Iggy taking control of Giant Land, and in Super Mario World, doing the same with Dinosaur Land. In both, he and his siblings are bosses Mario must face to free the worlds that they've taken over. So unlike Spike, Iggy is technically related to King/President Koopa in both versions, though as a cousin instead of a child, and serves directly under him. In the movies, Iggy is portrayed as stupid, while in the games he's described as crazy. In the games, he has large glasses and in early appearances spiky multicolored hair. In the movie, he has neither. He really doesn't have any visual signifier that this is even supposed to be the character he's based on. Honestly, they really could have called him Larry, Morton, Roy, Lemmy, or Ludwig, and he'd rank exactly the same, as she shares literally as much in common with Iggy as with any of them. But anyways, here we are, at the very prestigious Top 10 Best Adapted Characters in Super Mario Bros. 1993, starting at number 10 with Snifits. Shy Guys are a recurring enemy that first appeared in Super Mario Bros. 2, that wear masks and robes, most often red. Sniffs are basically a variant of Shy Guys that wear gas masks that shoot bullets out of the snout. In the movie, Snifts are mask-wearing creatures that collect and sort garbage for Dinohattan, mainly being seen in the city's junkyard. With virtually every other character and enemy not resembling their game counterparts at all, for some reason Snifts are a pretty good 80s dystopia adaptation. Their bodies are fully covered as they are in the games. They wear full-body robes, just black instead of colored, and their heads are covered in black gas mask-like masks. They do not fire projectiles or appear hostile at all, and they communicate with weird dinosaur noises. No idea why some effort was made with Snifts of all things, but if this movie made sense, I don't think it would be as popular as it has become. At 9, we move up to Bullet Bills. In the games, Bullet Bills are giant bullets with eyes that shoot across the screen as Mario tries to make his way across levels. In the movies, Bullet Bills are not characters or enemies, but fuel cartridges that are placed into the Thwomp Stompers to give them the power to allow wearers to jump unnaturally high into the air. While they're called Bullet Bills in the movie, they have spiky teeth like the larger variants that were at the time called Banzai Bills. They are seemingly just inanimate objects, but they have faces, so who knows what the rules are in this world. At 8, we come to Toad. Toad is the name of both a primary character in the Mario franchise as well as the collective name of the mushroom-headed people of the Mushroom Kingdom. In Super Mario Bros. 2, the singular Toad becomes a major character in the franchise as a playable character, and has returned many times across the games, often portrayed as a high-up friendly servant of the princess in the Mushroom Kingdom, who often assists the Mario Brothers in their adventures. In the movies, he's not a member of an entire mushroom species, but instead a human descendant of the dinosaurs who lives in Dinohattan. Instead of wearing an Arabian-style vest and pants, he's dressed as a counterculture 80s punk, though he does still wear a blue vest in both versions. The movie Toad is loyal to the royal family, but is not officially connected to them as he is in the games, instead being a street performer who rebels against President Koopa by singing anti-Koopa songs, preaching out his beliefs that the rightful king has been devolved into the fungus overgrowing throughout the city, which leads to him being arrested and imprisoned, later being de-evolved into a near-mindless Goomba. Unlike the other Goombas, Toad retains a semblance of his humanity and loyalty to the king, and eventually assists the princess and the Mario Brothers against Koopa. So loyalty to the king, assistant to the Mario Brothers, a blue vest, and if you're being generous, kinda a mushroom-shaped head when turned into a Goomba. At 7, we move up to the Mushroom King. The Mushroom King is not really a character in the Mario franchise. He first appeared as a reference in Peach's description in the English instruction manual for Super Mario Bros., and later makes a few appearances in the Mario comics and other extended media and art. Both versions are the peaceful king of a world taken over. In the games, you never see him, but in the movie, he's been de-evolved into a fungus that's spread throughout the entirety of Dinohattan. He assists the Mario Brothers and hinders President Koopa's forces whenever it can, giving him a much bigger role in the movie. At the end, he is transformed back into a human and assumedly takes his rightful place as king again. In the games, he is not transformed into a fungus, but this is a reference to the various kings in Super Mario World who are transformed into various demeaning forms by the Koopalings. And in earlier versions of the script, for some goddamn reason I cannot fathom, the king was explicitly named King Bowser. How I wish they'd said that name on screen or in the credits, because if they had, he'd have ranked even lower than the damn tweeters. Speaking of, at 6 we've got Bowser. The name Bowser is not used in the movie, with the title President Koopa being used instead, in reference to his alternate title of King Koopa in the games. Both versions are the main antagonists, who used an army of Goombas to take over an alternate world the Mario Brothers travel to. In the original game, the Mushroom Kingdom. In the movie, Dinohattan. Somewhat similar to the dinosaur world he takes over in Super Mario World. Both versions kidnap a princess to further their plans. In the original game, to stop her from undoing the magic he'd used to transform residents of the Mushroom Kingdom into objects. In the movie, both to retrieve the meteorite shard necklace she wears, as well as because she's the only one who can use that shard to merge the human and dinosaur dimensions, with his plan being to rule over both. Initially, about the only visual similarity is that Bowser has a spiked shell, while President Koopa sometimes wears a uniform with spiked shoulders. The game version is a large, intimidated Koopa with red hair, while the movie version is a blonde human descended from dinosaurs, often holding his arms up in front of him like the Tyrannosaurus Rex he originates from. And later we see him de-evolved into this state, somehow looking even less like the game version despite being reptilian. Both versions are opposed by the Mario Brothers, who fight through his forces and eventually face him, with the final battle being one of the only actual references to the games, with the movie version facing Mario on a bridge as he does in the original game, and shooting fire at him, in the games from his mouth, in the movie from a gun. Then later the movie version fights Mario while standing in a large metal container suspended in midair, in reference to the cart he flies in while fighting Mario in Super Mario World. But while the game version returns time and again to face Mario, the movie version has devolved down into protoplasmic slime, seemingly dying. Of all the changes, President Koopa is the one that shows me how little understanding the people making this movie had for why the games were so popular. Because what kid in the world would want you to change a big dragon turtle dinosaur monster into Dennis Hopper with a bad haircut? But here we are, the top 5 best adapted characters in Super Mario Bros. 1993, starting at 5 with Daisy. In the games, Princess Daisy is the princess of Sarasaland. Sarasaland is taken over by an alien named Tatanga, who kidnaps Daisy and tries to force her to marry him, with Mario later defeating Tatanga and saving Daisy and her kingdom. She's gone on to be a much bigger part of Mario lore in the modern day, but at the time of the movie, that was about it. In the movie, Daisy has blonde hair and later on wears a pinkish-purple dress like Peach is known for, while in the art accompanying the original game, Daisy is portrayed with brown hair and a yellow dress. While Peach is Princess of the Mushroom Kingdom and Daisy is Princess of Sarasaland, the movie version is the Princess of Dinohattan. The movie version was taken from Dinohattan over to Earth as a baby, and by baby, I mean egg, since despite the Dinohattans having hair and looking mammalian, apparently eggs come out of their... Anyway, she's brought to Earth, left in an orphanage, and raised by nuns with no knowledge of her true lineage. In the modern day, she is a college student studying archaeology. After meeting Luigi, the two begin to fall for each other, before President Koopa's men appear and kidnap her, to use her meteorite necklace to undo the barrier between the two worlds, with Daisy being the only person able to survive placing the fragment into the rest of the meteor for reasons, royal blood or something. The Mario Brothers follow Daisy over to the other world and eventually rescue her. So despite clearly being modeled after Peach, the movie and game versions of Daisy are both princesses who are kidnapped by villains who harbor romantic feelings for her and are eventually saved by Mario. And though over time it has been implied that Luigi and Daisy may share a relationship, this is not the case at the time of the movie, though she does act as his caddy in NES Open Tournament. Another similarity is that in the movie, Daisy is portrayed as a bit more tomboyish and feisty than Peach's usual girlish proper demeanor, which matches how Daisy's initial characterization was described by Nintendo at the time. Now up to 4 we have Yoshi. Oh, whoa, my god, a character in this movie who wasn't turned into a human? In the games and movie, Yoshi is a small dinosaur who is an ally to Mario and the princess. In the games, Yoshi is a native of Yoshi's Island, a region of Dinosaur Land. He is trapped in an egg after Bowser takes the area over and is freed by Mario, teaming up with Mario to stop Bowser and free the other captured members of his species, also called Yoshis. In the movie, Yoshi is a royal pet currently kept chained up by President Koopa, treating Yoshi with contempt and abuse. Daisy meets him while held captive and befriends him, with Yoshi later helping her escape and the two becoming allies. Both versions are small dinosaur-like creatures, though the movie version looks more like the standard depiction of a dinosaur at the time, lacking the bright green coloring and friendly smile of the games. Both versions have long tongues that they use to attack enemies. The game version has what is either a shell or a saddle on his back, which the movie version lacks. Though if the movie version of Mario tried riding this thing, I'm gonna guess its poor spine would snap in a second. And with the pretty impressive puppeting and effects of this thing in the movie, I have to ask, why is everyone else just a human? This could have been awesome. But now, entering the top 3, starting with Bob-ombs. Bob-ombs first appeared as enemies in Super Mario Bros. 2. They are initially portrayed as black bombs with white eyes, legs, and arms, though in later games the arms were dropped and wind-up keys were added to their backs. This is the design the movie takes, and while pretty much every character in this movie looks nothing like the source material, Bob-ombs surprisingly look quite close, with dot white eyes, a fuse on their top, and little feet, though the game version does not have Reebok branding on the bottom of their feet. The major visual differences between the two is the wind-up key is on its side instead of its back, and it's much, much smaller. While the game versions are around the size of Mario and other enemies, in the movie they're the size of a wind-up toy. While in the games, Bob-ombs are an enemy, an obstacle to the Mario Brothers, in the movie a Bob-omb is given to them by the Mushroom King, with Mario later winding it up to use in his battle against President Koopa. We don't learn anything about what it actually is, or whether it's even alive or just an object, but we see every resident in Dinohattan freak out and scream, "It's a Bob-omb!" when Mario pulls it out, letting us know it's a well-known threat in this world. And after walking around for a bit, it blows up, which, as the games, is a Bob-omb's purpose in life. Alright, and now at number 2 we have... Yeah, alright, I think we all know who's going to be the number 1 and 2 spots now. So, for simplicity's sake, and so I'm not repeating the same information twice in a row, I'll combine them together. As the second most well-adapted character, we have... Luigi. Meaning at number 1, it's a Mario. Making number 1 and 2 together, the Super Mario Brothers. In the games and movie, Mario and Luigi are each half of the Mario Brothers, Italian plumbers from Brooklyn who eventually wind up in another world fighting against King Koopa and his Goombas to rescue a princess. In the games, this is the Mushroom Kingdom to save Peach from Bowser. In the movie, it's Dinohattan to save Daisy from President Koopa. Luigi in the movie is Mario's younger brother who is basically raised by Mario after their parents' death. In the games of the time, their ages in relation to each other were not yet seen, and their parentage was never stated, though later on they were revealed to be twins. At the time of the games, they did not have surnames, with the movie giving them both the last name Mario, though this has been quasi-canonized in the modern day. In the games, the brothers are originally silent, while the cartoons in the movie give them Brooklyn accents, with Luigi's being more youthful and high-pitched, and Mario's being more gruff and low. The game versions are portrayed as heroic and adventurous, but at the time had little personality beyond that. In the movie, Mario and Luigi are portrayed very different from each other. Luigi is impulsive and reckless, trusting his instincts when making decisions, while Mario is more pragmatic and cautious, thinking things through before acting. Both brothers constantly bicker and chastise each other, but clearly care for each other deeply, and work together incredibly well both when plumbing and fighting enemies. Though in their early appearances the Mario brothers had the same body type, later on Luigi was portrayed a bit taller and leaner than his brother, which in the movie they did as well. In the games, Mario and Luigi are known for their distinct overalls and hats, which initially they do not have in the movie, though later on they grab plumber outfits from Koopa Tower to go in disguise, giving them their iconic red and blue and green and blue colors, though without overalls, as well as hats, though very different ones than the caps they're known for in the games. Likely the biggest visual difference, though, is that while Mario has his iconic mustache, Luigi does not, being clean-shaven in the movie. Absolute sacrilege! In the games, both brothers have the ability to jump extraordinarily high, which they use as their main attack against enemies. In the movies, they do this with the aid of Thwomp Stomper boots that are sold in Dinohattan. In the movie, Koopa's henchmen and the brothers eventually use what's basically the Super Scope. However, the only time Mario used that in games was a game that released just after the movie. And while they don't consume mushrooms that change their size or give them extra lives as they do in the games, the brothers are assisted all throughout the movie by the fungus infecting the city, with it saving their lives from certain death many times, which you could call extra lives. And a mushroom Mario grab does grow in size to deflect a projectile from hitting Mario. Both the games and the movie versions run around a lot, and are able to deal with huge numbers of enemies at a time. In the games, they often use pipes as transportation, which Mario does in the movie, though through a frozen pipe while on a mattress covered in ladies. Ladies riding pipe with Mario on a mattress? Somebody's taking the piss here. Just before the movie, Mario became known in advertising for putting up a V sign with his fingers, which Luigi does at the end of the movie after they've defeated President Koopa. While in the games, the plumber aspect is just part of their backstory and isn't usually relevant, in the movie they use these skills multiple times, with Mario taking plumbing very seriously, telling Luigi to never misplace his tools, and using them to fight enemies multiple times. Both versions of Mario have human girlfriends who are kidnapped. In the games, this was Pauline by Donkey Kong. In the movies, it's Daniela by Spike and Iggy. Luigi didn't initially have a love interest in the games, while in the movie he develops feelings for the princess. And in both versions, after defeating King Koopa and saving the world, the Mario brothers are championed as heroes, and while the game versions seemingly stay in the Mushroom Kingdom, the movie versions return to their own world, but are recruited by Daisy at the end for another adventure in a sequel that we never got to see, which I can only assume would have been a one-to-one adaptation of Mario Teaches Typing. So overall, despite some drastic changes, they're actually pretty good adaptations of the Mario Brothers, with Luigi only really ranking lower than Mario due to the lack of mustache and relationship to the princess. And with the amount of work that they put bringing these two to life and casting such great choices for the roles, it really makes you wonder, why wasn't this kind of philosophy put into anyone else? So there you go. Whether you loved this movie or hated it with a visceral passion, you can thank the channel members for it, as Super Mario Bros. Was their vote from the category of video game adaptations in our first channel members poll. Thank you very much for the support. I appreciate you psychopaths, even though you made me watch and think deeper about this movie than I ever intended to in my life. Next poll was adaptations of Alan Moore comics, and it looks like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen's gonna be the winner. Great. If you like to torture me as these psychopaths do, or in the unlikely event that you just want to support this channel, you can click that join button somewhere down there below. And whether you do or not, if you've got any pitches for a future theme for one of these polls, let me know below. Until next time, always remember, treat your tools like a friend and trust the fungus.